go ahead and start the meeting. Welcome to the Beaches Watch July meeting. As I said, we're having some technical difficulties, so please bear with us. We'll see if maybe it'll miraculously come up. I'm Maria Mark. I'm president of Beaches Watch, and thank you all for coming out. We are a membership organization, so our membership runs from January to December, and it is $5 for students, $15 for individuals, and $20 for family. Our ladies sitting at the table, if you've not joined or renewed, please consider doing that today, or you can go online at beacheswatch.com. We are videotaping our meeting tonight, so you can go on our YouTube channel. I'm not sure what we're going to see, but we'll probably just have more audio. We're going to recognize our elected officials tonight. So we have Chris Hoffman, who's mayor of Jacksonville Beach. Chris, maybe you should come in front of the camera. At least we'll have somebody to look at. We have Corey Byland, who is mayor of Neptune Beach. John Wagner, City Council, Jacksonville Beach. Curtis Ford, Mayor. And Sandy Golding, Jacksonville Beach City Council. Did I miss anybody? Okay. Just a few announcements before we get to our program tonight. It's that time of year. It's budget time for all the cities. So the budget workshops have been scheduled. These will be posted on our website, but I will, for purposes of the video, give the dates. So Atlantic Beach Budget Workshop will be held in the City Commission Chamber starting Monday, July 14 at 5 o'clock, and again on Monday, June 28th at 5 p.m. They're also hosting the town hall at the Gail Baker Community Center at Donner Park. That will be Saturday, July 19th, starting at 10 o'clock. So this is an opportunity for you to come out, meet with your commissioners and mayor, talk to them one-on-one. It's a very informal setting, so we encourage you to try and participate at these town halls. Neptune Beach Budget Workshops also will be held in their city council chambers. Their first meeting, it will be Monday, August 4th at 4 p.m. This is their second review, and I like the way they actually give the topics that they'll be reviewing. This one will cover public works, city manager, parks and sustainability, and finance. Their second will be held Monday, August 18th at 4 p.m. This will be a second review, and the topics will cover police department, city clerk, human resources, community development, the senior center, and IT. Jacksonville Beach, their budget workshops will be held also in their chambers. Their first one will be Friday, August 1st from 2 to 4, and this will be the overall budget showcase. Monday, Monday, August 4th, from 4 to 5:45 p.m. They'll talk about the executive, legal, finance, HR, and IT. Tuesday, August 5th will be 5 to 7. They'll be covering the police, beaches, energy, parks and rec. And Monday, August 11th, 5 to 7 p.m., public works, planning, and redevelopment. Our next Beaches Watch meeting will be held, and this is a change of date, it will be held on Thursday, August 7th at 7 p.m. It will be here at the library. And we're pleased to have our town hall with our Senator Yarborough and Representative Michael. So please put that on your calendar. This is a pretty rare time to meet with your state representatives, so we encourage you all to please come out and meet with them. We'd just like to know kind of how you heard about the meeting. So, Digital Beaches Leader, did you read the press release? Is anybody getting the Digital Beaches Leader?
Yes.
Oh, good, good. I'm glad to hear that. Facebook, Our newsletter, the news email of Jacksonville Today, they always announce our meetings. Our Beaches Watch website. Friend, neighbor, word of mouth. Nobody's talking to anybody in here. Okay, that's all right. Okay, we will go ahead and start with our Beaches police panel. This is a favorite every year. It always follows the 4th of July, so it's always interesting to hear what happened, possibly what didn't happen, maybe. So we will start with Chief Vic Gualillo, Atlantic Beach Police Department, followed by Chief Michael Key, Neptune Beach Police Department, and then Chief Jean-Paul Smith will bring up the ending at Jacksonville Beach Police Department. So, Chief Gualillo. Yay!
Okay, so Chief Vic Gualillo from Atlantic Beach, 34 years now. I figured out what I want to be when I grow up. I wish I could have shared my PowerPoint with you. Got some cool pictures, historic pictures I put in there. So I think some of the questions we got were related to what do we think we're going to be needing as we move forward into our next year, next budget year. So I think the biggest thing that we are looking at is officers.
Thank you. Thank you.
So officers and retention recruiting for us. We're at about 96% right now staffed, which is great. We haven't been that fortunate in years past. A few years ago, we were about 30% understaffed. We had to call Jack's Beach to come help us for some nights on the midnight shift. So we look at ways how can we make sure we have enough officers as we move forward. What do we do right in the next few years? So I know we'll talk about budgets as we come up into the next few weeks. The city, about 5 years ago, was lucky enough to step up and help us with the budget to make sure that we had parity salaries with Jacksonville, Jack's Beach, and Neptune Beach. And we put out a very strong marketing campaign to recruit. That's been very successful. So we have a great group of officers with us right now. We have some depth in our team that we hadn't seen in many years because these officers are staying. So we're looking in the next couple of years to try and stay at parity with Jacksonville. That combination of giving them a really positive, great work environment, working at the beach, making sure they're getting a lot of good training, and matching that salary with Jacksonville has really helped us. It's been successful. I can tell you from past experience after 34 years of being here, when you're on the bottom of the barrel for the salary ranges, it's really hard to recruit officers. We do have a great environment here at the beach to come work. People enjoy working out here, but you can't pay your mortgage having a nice place to work. And we've had the question asked of us many times, gee, it's quieter at Atlantic Beach. We're not as dangerous as Jacksonville. It's not such a hard job. And I have to wonder if that's really the tagline for us to recruit officers. Come to Atlantic Beach. We're slower, you don't do as much work here. Just come and hang out and collect a paycheck. And I look at the people we want to recruit and go, that's not the guy I want to recruit. The officers don't want to recruit though. People want to go out and run and gun, right? I want you to go out and be aggressive. Put people in jail that need to go to jail. Go out and make contacts with citizens. Go talk to people. Get out of your car. Not something you have to spur along every time we come around the corner, but hey, go do some work. I want the person who wants to go out and be working and be proactive, but that younger officer is looking for an agency that's going to support them in their career and support them in their lifestyle with a really good salary and good pension. So those things are important to us to have these officers long-term as employees. We roll over employees every 4 or 5 years. We have a new group of people in. We build no depth in our team. We have no succession planning. You don't want these officers working here that are just short-term. There's no investment in the community, so that's huge for us. In the last couple of years, what that has meant for us, is that our stats are going up. We're making more arrests, we're making more DUI arrests, we're making more drug arrests. We're having more activity officers on the street because they're staying here long term, they're enjoying their job, and we're seeing crime rates across the nation come down, but our crime rates are coming down in Atlantic Beach also. I'm sorry I couldn't share the stats with you tonight. The officers are being very proactive. We are about the same place we were last year as far as total numbers of crimes and types of crimes we're counting, but that's a good thing. It's not going up, it's not going in the wrong direction, and we're seeing the proactivity of the officers increase, which is something we want to see. So we had the question also, what are we doing about illegal immigrants? What are we doing about those people in our community, and what are we doing? Have we been engaged by anybody to take a more proactive approach? So of course, here in the state of Florida, the laws that come down from the governor say, hey, look, you have to be involved in supporting the national immigration policies and laws. So I will tell you that the Atlantic Beach Police Department did sign on to the 287G program under the task force model. That task force model allows our officers to be trained by ICE. There's a 40-hour training course they have to go through. That we can operate on a task force with ICE officers or with the county officers, Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, if they want to come out and work a task force with us. What that means to me locally is that I don't have to pick up the phone anymore when I have someone who's an illegal immigrant and we're making contact with. There's no local charges, no local crimes they've committed that I can arrest them for. But I know they're not here illegally. I know there's a problem maybe with this person. They have no ID, they're not cooperating with anything we're trying to do with them, and trying to figure out who they are and why they're here. In the past, you had to pick up the phone and try and call ICE, and all they do is, well, you know what, I don't have anybody available. Just get their name, address, and phone number, and let us know who they are, and we'll come and deal with them the next day or two. Okay, great. I don't know what this person's name is, but I'll just take his word for it, and we'll get the name and forward to you and send them on down the road. That doesn't work for me, right? I know there's a lot of people here who are just working, just trying to earn a living. I know there's people here who are working the system. I know there's criminals here who are working in our communities because it's easier to victimize people in the States than it is in their country. Because there's no middle class in a lot of these third world countries in South American places they come from. You have the ultra rich and the ultra poor. You can't get to the ultra rich because they have bodyguards around them. The ultra poor, you prey on them, they don't have anything. But you come to the States, and there's a huge middle class now that's right for picking. And it's a very easy place to find victims, right, when you're that kind of person. So it's just easier for us to go ahead and if we have someone who we know needs to be identified, maybe needs support of our federal system, and figure out who they are, they need to go back to where they came from, or they're going to let them stay here. It's easier for my officers to have that ability as a task force officer, some authority from ICE, to deal with them on their basis, and not have to wait for a phone call back in 2 days from a federal agent going, yeah, the guy you had 2 days ago, gee, he's wandered out of some country, can you find him? No. I found him 2 days ago, I don't know where he is now. So there are benefits to us on the local level. I know it's a controversial topic, but the benefits I saw of being part of this 287G program outweigh some of the political problems we're having to go through at the federal level. So let's work out the political problems in Washington. Let us deal with the local level down here and figure out our own problems at the local level and fix some of those things day to day we know we encounter. And so what else is on the list? I'm forgetting what the list had on it. Anybody, Maria, can help me out?
4th of July.
4th of July.
Oh, 4th of July was great for us. We had a fair number of arrests, nothing serious, thank goodness. A few arrests for disorderly conduct, those types of things, nothing good. The events that we're working these days, talk about what are our big events. Obviously, the Dancing in the Streets for us, which is a huge event for Atlantic and Neptune. There is the Dawn Marathon, which is a huge event for the beaches. But here's what we're seeing a trend of, the same thing you're seeing in your neighborhoods. We're seeing an increase in people who don't live here, who are coming from town, and want to have events out here. As an example, we have an Easter egg, a local Easter egg hunt that typically had 50 or 100 people a few years ago. This past year and the year before, we had almost 1,000 people there. So how does our community, who's running a local community Easter egg hunt for the kids, deal with now 1,000 people? It's great that we have events at the beach. They're popular, our citizens love them, but so do other folks. So there's a couple other ones. We have a music festival in Atlantic Beach. Great festival. It's well attended, but the problem is we have another 500 to 800 people show up for that. We didn't have those kind of numbers in past years. So there are more folks finding out the beach is a great place to come and recreate. There are good events here, there's nice things to do, but the things that we sort of intended for our local communities that would walk and bike there are now being driven to by many other people. So just like you see more people coming to the beach to recreate for the sand and surf, we're seeing them come to some of our local events too. Now, so the local agency, I'm dealing with much larger local events on a regular basis, so how do I deal with that except field more officers, which costs more money. So Jacksonville's growing, the beaches are more popular, the beaches are growing, we're all feeling that effect, and more cars, more parking, more people coming to the beach. So we're all kind of in the same boat. And what else? Sir?
I just want to say I'm an avid cyclist, and I appreciate the fact that you put one-way signs on Beach Avenue, and it says accept bicycles. Of course, some people don't know how to read, and they drive their golf carts and their e-bikes. E-bikes have motors in them, even though they're called bikes, and some people just don't realize that. And so, but I appreciate the fact that you put those signs up, because sometimes it gets a little crazy out there.
Yeah, so all three beaches are experiencing the same things with these motorized optional vehicles now, and I'll tell you, the state of Florida is seeing it, and the entire nation's seeing it, because there's a whole new class of vehicle that we just don't know how to deal with as a community, right? So we're looking for some leadership at the state level to try and give us some more legislation to put a tighter rein around these things. They're great forms of transportation, however, we need a little more control over them. We're trying to do it locally, and we're getting some things pushed back down from Tallahassee. They're going to help us a little bit. But I think we're as a community still trying to figure out how to deal with it.
Is there an age limit for those e-bikes?
I'm sorry, sir, I did not mention this, but we will be having a Q&A after all the presentations.
Okay.
So if you
All right.
wouldn't mind
Okay.
letting everyone let them finish the
I
presentations.
thought
I know, he's being courteous, which is,
Gotcha.
but I just wanted to let you know that we are going to have Q&A, so thank you.
You can actually know on that. So at any rate, I think that's pretty close to mine. I don't want to take more of my time.
Chief, if you could talk about maybe what the citizens can do to help
Oh, sure.
our police department and
Absolutely.
about the Citizens Police Academy.
So our Citizens Police Academy this year is going to be in the fall. We say this every year. If there's something that you can do as a community to help us, is talk to that silent majority who are your friends and neighbors, and encourage them to become informed about what's going on in our communities. Encourage them to become active in our communities. They want to come and volunteer for some civic things that are going on in your local governments. That'd be great. They want to participate in some boards. That'd be fantastic. But for them to become more educated and more involved will help us as law enforcement, will help our city governments to function more efficiently. So please, the fact that you're here is great. Spread the word. Try and get your friends and neighbors to also become involved in more things. And we're going to do the CPA class you can find on our website, City of Atlantic Beach's website for the police department. There'll be some dates going up in probably November, December, January, the cooler months. So you can look there if you have anybody who wants to go through a 10-week program with us. It's like a small police academy. You come in once a week, either Wednesday or Thursday evening, from about 6 to 9. We'll do that for 10 weeks. You'll have a chance to talk to officers about how to process a crime scene, our narcotic investigations, DUI investigations, all the firearms that we shoot, all the use of force issues that officers are dealing with today. So we'll run through a little bit of a small police academy. It's pretty informative, but it gives us a chance to develop a relationship with our community and for us to get to know them. I'd rather you guys know that we're the good guys that show up with families, with hobbies, and all the good things that go on, not just the guys that show up when something's going bad, right? And you can call the cops to come help you with the problem. So it's a great opportunity to build that relationship.
And I'd just like to say I took it 8 years ago. I'm 82 years old, and the police academy is a fabulous thing.
Great way to get to know people. Thank you. All right.
Thank you. Thank you. Chief Key. Testing.
Fantastic. Everybody hear me? There we go. Hey. Good evening. My name is Chief Key with Neptune Beach Police Department. I'm going to be operating on my phone tonight, so that means I'm going to be able to walk around, which is great, not be anchored. I had a really great presentation with fireworks, actual fireworks, city council and everything else, but I'll skip to the good stuff. And that is some of the news from our police station. So we had 4 recent staff appointments and promotions I wanted to highlight. They were going to be up on your screen, so just close your eyes and imagine. First was Commander Gary Snyder. I was fortunate enough to be able to appoint an additional commander, and he's been a great asset to the team. He joined us May 15, 2024. I am at that age, I need readers, so I'm scooping in. Here we go. Stuckey, that name may ring a bell to some who've been out here a long time. He was the police chief for Atlantic Beach, his daddy. Gary, my commander, went to the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office. Prior to that, he worked for us for a little while, and then spent 25 years being a homicide detective and doing some other things down there, and we were great to pick up his experience, and I'm very fortunate to have him as part of the team. We were able to promote a Sergeant, Jason Haynes, May 23rd. He joined us, another one of those folks we stole from the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office. Like Chief Gualillo was saying, the beaches have constantly and always competed for talent, and we're not looking for people to just ride a beat. We're definitely not looking for people to not come out here and be the retirement job. So that goes with salaries, that goes with benefits. We have to be able to stay competitive, and we've been fortunate to be able to do that. A lot of our ranks are filled with members from other agencies, and that does speak volumes when you basically flee an agency and come to yours. Detective Sergeant Torres, he was already a sergeant, but we were able to move him into our office as a detective sergeant, and he oversees our paid parking, the mobility management component of the police department as well, which we brought in-house from City Hall. And then lastly was a great addition. It's Sam Williams. Sam was a director with the St. Johns County Sheriff's Office, like 3rd in charge of their entire sheriff's office. A beaches guy, born and raised here. Knows tons of people, and he was able to retire from St. Johns County and come join us as our services division supervisor. So it brings a wealth of knowledge and experience at that role, and he's also overseeing our accreditation. Accreditation is really important. You don't want to go to a college, right, that's not accredited. It's the same thing. You don't want your community to be policed by a non-accredited agency. It's just as simple as that. It holds the police departments to higher standards, and thankfully all 3 of the beach police departments are accredited. All right, moving on, I'm going to race through mine. I had an O chart in there too. Everybody loves those. All right, I'm going to kind of get off or keep on the bandwagon with highlighting my employees. I had focused that kind of forward on this presentation. And the next one I wanted to highlight was our Employee of the Year. Our Employee of the Year for the first time in recent history, I can say 20 years, is a police supervisor. Employee of the Year usually go to employees and not anybody in the supervisory staff. But as the chiefs can attest here, and anybody in public service can attest, the most stressful job in police service is a line level supervisor. We in police service experience higher levels of suicide, higher levels of alcohol and substance abuse problems, and a lot of mental health problems from the day in and day out things that police and firefighters and first responders experience. There's a study that said something about that the normal citizen experiences a traumatic, life-changing event a maximum of 5 to possibly 6 times in their lifetime. We're talking divorce, a loss of somebody very close to you, a very serious car crash that got you put in the hospital, those kind of things. And that same study found that during the course of a 25-year career, a first responder experiences 400 of those. And you talk about, the stressors that if anybody has gone through, which we all have, we're all humans, we've all gone through bad things in our life, and you can refer to that bad thing, whether it was a divorce or a death or whatever, magnetize that by 400 times. And that's what your first responders go through. Police Sergeant Dustin Campy was selected as our Officer of the Year for 2024. Again, it was the first time in our recent history. And I'm not going to read his bio or whatever, why he got it. But he got it because he deserved it. He got it because he shows up every day and he puts forth a massive amount of effort. He doesn't just phone it in, not to say anybody else does, but he really digs down. And the great thing about Neptune Beach, I can pride our agency on this, is we're the smallest of the beaches, but we try to be the best, right? And it doesn't happen that way because employees just show up and do a mediocre job. There's fewer of us to do the same requirements that everybody else has. And it speaks true about all the beaches. Just because your agency may be 30 or 300, it's not fair to say, oh, well, the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office does it, y'all should be able to do it the same way. We do, and I think I can speak for the beaches police, in period, and we can put a beaches police against a JSO officer, and maybe more well-rounded, more apt to be able to handle any verse situation than anybody else there. And that's not a slight on them, it's just on us. So to highlight on Police Sergeant Dustin Campy, not only does he do the role of police sergeant, he does the role of special events coordinator. He does a massive amount of every special event. His hands are on it, as well as all kinds of other ancillary jobs. All right, moving off that, some real quick stats. This is a great graphic, but again, nobody likes stats, right? So I just wanted to highlight something real quick. So we just released this week, if you look at our social media pages, it's on our website as well, our annual report. And I'll share a quick, my wife will kick me after this. I'll share a quick private conversation between my wife and I. She goes, nobody cares about the annual report but you, Mike. Just push it. Because I kept going back and forth and making edits and edits and edits. I'm like, that may be slightly true, but I know it's not 100% true. It's amazing to see year-end annual reports because they tell a story of what your organization has been doing. So just to tell you a quick high-level stuff, the Neptune Beach Police Department responded to 23,037 calls for service that are both 911, phone-in, or self-initiated activity by officers. That is a massive amount. That's in comparison to 21,923 and 23,020 in 2022. So we're up a little bit in calls for service. And the reason I wanted to start with that, and again, it breaks it down in this annual report. It's great. If you have some time, just real quick, go to Neptune Beach's website, go to the police department, go to annual report. It's really easy to navigate. You can find it. You can see all these things. But the reason I wanted to bring that up is, the next slide, you can imagine, is our total arrests for adults only was 281, and it skyrocketed from 200 the previous year and only 182 in 2022. So we're at the highest level of arrests that we're doing. So it kind of, again, speaks back to what Chief Gualillo spoke about. We have high performers that are out there keeping our community safe and doing a great job at delivering the service of what we do, and that's policing. But in that same slide, imagine it, there is the property crimes, and they break them all down in this annual report I'm referring to. But property crimes dropped 69%, and again, statistics can be full, right? Like homicides could go up 100% in Neptune Beach because we haven't had any, and then we had one, right? So you got to be careful with those. But when you actually start looking at numbers, we had 78 thefts, and thefts are a community problem that affect every single one in the room, including myself. I have bikes stolen out of my garage and everything. Thefts are a real bad problem because it's a slippery slope for your community that really is a great metric to say, hey, you're doing good or you're doing bad as a community. We had 78 in 2023, and we brought it down to 24 last year. That's incredible. That's an incredible amount. And the only reason that I should have paused, the public speaker in me should have let everybody go, right? But it's a 70% reduction, and it's not an accident. You don't get a reduction from 78 to 24 by just an accident. You do that by active policing. You do that by officers making sure they're in those neighborhoods, patrolling, constantly being seen and trying to make a difference. All right, on to the next slide. Another great slide. Again, these are all in our annual report. You can go online. We did something a little edgy, I guess. I don't know. Maybe it's not. It's a pie chart that's arrestees by where they live. And that's kind of a neat statistic to know, right? What are we doing out here at the beach? And how many people are we arresting who live in Neptune, live at the beaches, live in Jacksonville? And I can tell you, it's 63% for Neptune Beach. 63% of the arrests we made were Jacksonville. Of the beaches, I won't dog out anybody else. It was only 11% of our total was Atlantic and Jax Beach. I was going to roast Jacksonville because we only arrested 3% of your populace. You're doing a great job. yeah, you're 60K from Neptune. And then 16, it breaks it all down, 16% were other locations. So if you wanted to know, hey, how much time and energy, at least as a metric for Neptune Beach, are we spending on Jacksonville residents? It's 63% of our arrests were for Jacksonville-specific addresses. All right, another great slide. School speed cameras. So last year, we were really kind of getting going on the school speed camera program, and it was in its infancy. It still kind of is, because by the time we launched on it and we started going, then we hit summer, and we turned them off. We actually were offered, hey, summer schools, and no, we're not doing that. It's real school zones during real times, people in school, creating a dangerous situation for our youth. And if you've heard me publicly speak about this, I'm extremely passionate about it. I don't have a problem with telling you I have 3 kids and they're all under the age of 12 and they all go to school. And I drive them to school if I can, typically every day. And I pass through 3 school zones on my way to drop them at school, and I get passed every single day by people flying through school zones. And I'm tired of it, and I'm tired of my community experiencing speeding problems in it, so I decided to do something about it. And here's a statistic that I couldn't wait to share with you. You may have seen it on the news. From the time that we did an initial study to say, hey, what does our speeding problem look like, to the time we actually started issuing citations, we had a 92% reduction in speed. And I want to give you some idea of what 92% speeding violations actually mean for your community. During our speed study, we had 392 violations in one single day in our school zones during the school speed. 392 in just one day. Dramatic pause. We had a warning period. The state requires us to do a 4-week warning period, but then we had some holidays in there. Again, just being extra proactive and trying to be as open to this as we could. We said, hey, we're going to do an 8-week. We're going to double the warning period to make sure our community knows if you drive down these roads, you're going to get a warning. So during that warning period, we had that 382 went down to 62.3 violations per day. That's a crazy drop. But then in the go-live period, and this data is from 4/22 to 5/8, during the initial go-live, the summer hit, it dropped down to 30.1 violations per day. It's incredible. And I'll be the first to say, I ushered in the program, I advocated for the program, I argued for it, I stood on multiple platforms to argue it. I'll be the first to shut it down if it doesn't work. Absolutely. If it turns into, it's just a cash grab, we'll turn it down. But that's not actually what this is. It's to genuinely keep our community safer during school zones, during school hours. And it's as simple as it is. Revenue from that only can be used in very restrictive ways. You can't turn this program into a moneymaker. There's all kinds of things in it. So I'll move off that. July 4th, how am I doing?
You're good, you got 1 minute and 45 seconds.
You don't have much. All right. July 4th, we had a ton of people. There was an increase. It was a mandatory work day. Everybody in our agency had to work. We had 2 motor units, 2 bike units. Had a really cool video of body camera footage going down. We'll post it on social media. I want to give a shout out to the 23 JSO officers who came out to help us. We had 36 high-speed vehicle mitigation barricades. We've been doing that now for 10 years. I'll publicly say it, I don't really care. It's law enforcement malpractice for an incident to happen, such as New Orleans, and their commissioner or police chief to get on the media, national, and say, oh, we never hypothesized that could happen. We've been hypothesizing that for 10 plus years of vehicle-borne attacks. How can you say a major metropolitan? I'll get off that, I only have a minute left, but we've been doing that, and if you see those, that's why. We're trying to create and be creative, because that's what you needed your public servants to be before 9/11. That's what you still need your public servants to be creative, to think outside the box and say, how can we get attacked and how can we mitigate those things? So we got all that for free from the county. The county gave us firefighters. I'm racing through it now. All right, so pedestrian bike counts. I want to give a special shout out to Colin Moore, who's in the back, our sustainability director. He put out a bike counter. We had 31,000 pedestrian bicycles on First Street.
On First Street.
31,000 on just First Street in one day.
Terrifying.
We had 132 calls for service during just that one day. I'll skip some stuff. And lastly, I'll skip a bunch of stuff. All right. What can you do? I'll end with this. What you can do, simply put, is you can get off social media and you can stop believing everything you see on it. I've been off of it for 30 days. I haven't looked at a single thing. It's disgusting. Stop believing things you read on there. Jacksonville News page this and this page. People can say whatever they want. It's toxic. Get off of social media and stop believing it. Talk to your neighbors. Come to social gatherings like this. Email the police chief. He'll talk to you. Just stop believing everything you see on social media. So thank you.
We're just going to take just a 1-minute break. We're going to see if we can't get the IT to work here for Chief Smith's presentation. But let's see. With the permission of the chiefs, we can upload your PowerPoints to our website, so it didn't go to waste. So we're happy to share that with our on our website.
Good work, please. By the way, I arrested 1,600 people last year and 95% of them.
That's what the fake news I was talking about.
No, our number is more like 85%. It was about 1,600.
From beginning, left side, second down.
Wow. Fancy. Let's hope the video works now.
Oh, you were.
Well, that's okay. Okay, good custom. All right.
Okay, they just got raises, right?
Welcome, everybody. When I get the email from Beaches Watch and what we're going to cover tonight, everything was kind of pointing in one direction. Who was here last year? Remember the Beaches Watch massacre? Me. Well, it's amazing what a difference a year makes. And I got some amazing things to share with you and some outstanding accomplishments. So, we want to talk about recruiting, retention, crime stats, what's the most difficult event that we handle. There's a lot of things about how was July 4th. Well, bear with me and we're gonna get there. I'll take it from now. Okay, crime statistics are the handouts in the back, Tony? Okay, we'll give you some handouts on crime stats, but just bear with me. Staffing levels and recruitment, demanding events, undocumented immigrants, how can you help us assist in police academy? So we're going to kind of go through all those. The only one that we won't talk about directly is undocumented immigrants, but I guess we'll bear with you. Okay, is anybody familiar with this term, team takeovers? Well, that's what we've been experiencing in Jacksonville Beach for the past 5-10 years. It's just been named something because it's moved to bigger cities and they decided to call it something. So what we have here is top right-hand corner, Chicago. This all happened in the last month or two. Large groups of juveniles, they show up in one place at one time, organized through social media, and they commit violence, they fight, they ransack stores, they loot, they do street takeovers, do wheelies in the middle of intersections. It's just a free-for-all. So the top right hand is Chicago, moving right to left. The top corner is Atlantic City, New Jersey, Denver, going down Orlando, St. Louis. And what's that little one in the corner right there, bottom right?
Jack's Beach.
Jack's Beach. That was last year. So it's not just us. That's the biggest thing I need to get across to them. I have some people looking at me like it's just Jacksonville Beach. It's all over the country, it's a national trend, and right there in the middle, they had Dr. Phil, not the most reputable, well, not the most credible reference as far as law enforcement goes. But it is a national topic, it's a national problem. And that's what ours was up till this year. So I'm going to keep on. Okay, challenging events.
And law enforcement are pleading with parents to control their children. Take a look at this video.
New Smyrna Beach, Florida.
A large crowd of teenagers taking over part of the beach at Flagler Avenue just yesterday.
This was the scene in New Smyrna Beach yesterday.
Familiar?
Groups of teenagers packed the coast on President's Day. The crowds eventually spilled over onto Flagler Avenue. And owners of Luma Coffee, Melissa and Ignacio Barcatelli, say the behavior wasn't appropriate.
The kids was kind of overwhelming the rest. They didn't behave.
Just be nice, behave, again, and enjoy the beautiful weather and the beautiful places here.
The couple saw kids jumping on their furniture and hanging from parts of their property. They had flashbacks in 2022 when teens took over the area, climbed on top of cars, and destroyed businesses. A year later, the city put a youth curfew in place to help. Terry Bartley from Breakers doesn't think it's doing the trick. The biggest concern for businesses is the level of violence they've seen over the past couple of years. No shots were fired when a teen pulled a gun on the beach Monday, but it's not the first time that's happened. Last March, a 16-year-old also pulled a gun on a crowd.
These kids have to realize you break out a gun, it's a good way to be in trouble and get shot.
The fact that there were issues on a single day off from school has people on edge, especially because in about a month, most of Central Florida will be on spring break at the same time.
The county deputies had to break up a large gathering.
This past Saturday in Clay County,
Leaving the sheriff's office to make a post calling on parents to pick up their children immediately at the Chick-fil-A across the street. It comes after a flyer was posted online calling for a big, quote, reunion at the mall.
Just got out here around 9 o'clock, and there was like a sea of law enforcement everywhere, in the mall parking lot as well as across the street. But if we look across the street where the sheriff's office was telling parents to come pick up their children, you see about 5 children right by the eyeglass claims, and you only see 1 deputy. But when I was on the phone with the sheriff's office earlier, I did ask them what prompted them to make that post. Was there a fight? I was told it was just a large disruption. However, when I did speak with some people out here, they told me they saw a few fights. But take a look at your screen. This is a video that was shared with me by a person who was out here earlier. In it, you see lots of children and heavy law enforcement presence after juveniles were told to leave the mall and head across the street. But this isn't the first time something like this has happened at the Orange Park Mall. In 2021, we told you about fights breaking out at the mall carnival. A year later, we told you the sheriff's office cleared the mall for juvenile disturbances. And last year, we told you about deputies investigating fights at the mall and a nearby shooting happening. Now, this is all something a parent I spoke with is aware of and why she's cautious of letting her children come here.
This is the same night in Instagram video, and this is a business in the Orange Park Mall. This was 3 nights ago. July 5th. Actually, it was July 4th. No, July 5th. This is the city of Orlando. These are street takeovers by juveniles. FHP helicopter. What they do is they take over intersections, they shoot fireworks out of there, doing donuts, and all the cars and all the kids rush the intersection and take it over. That's Orlando, Florida. That's FHP helicopter video. Okay, this was the actual message by the Clay County Sheriff's Office on Facebook. Can you all read that? If you have children at the Orange Park Mall, come pick their asses up. So I think I've established this is not just our problem. This is a national problem, and it's gotten worse since COVID. We all saw a little bit of COVID, but now it's getting worse since teen takeover. So our efforts. You know, I was asked, what are you doing to keep July 4th safe in 2025? Well, we really began on March 18th, 2024 to work to keep this 4th of July safe. That's the day after St. Patrick's Day. Does everybody remember that in Jacksonville Beach? It was a milestone for us. We did a lot of things. We began having community conversations. We had multiple meetings, and the community spoke out and said what they wanted. Then we had internal meetings with elected officials and city leadership. The police department got a new labor contract in between contract years, unheard of. We are now the highest paying police department north of Orlando, all the way up to the Panhandle. When you adjust for cost of living, I say we give South Florida a run for their money. And that was, it's only a few $100s of these guys and JSO. We're still at number one. We're still highest paid. So then we began staffing. I had 12 people on light duty and 13 vacancies. The night of March 17, 2023. Out of 67 officers, I was 25 short on that night. And we experienced these kind of shortages before, although not with light duty, but definitely with the vacancies. So we pushed this contract out, we began staffing. We hired 14 people in 6 months, unheard of. All but one had at least 4 to 5 years of experience, quality experience from other departments. That's what we were able to do. So as we began to get fully staffed, we moved into what we call the spring surge. Does anybody remember hearing about that? For 8 weeks, March and April, we pushed out every officer that we could, every peak time that we could, and I was told, directed by city council and my city manager, to put a message out there: if you come to Jacksonville Beach and break the law, your ass is going to do. Period. And that's what we did. We surged for 8 weeks. It was very taxing on manpower. We worked a lot of overtime, but the staff was fantastic. And we set the tone for the rest of this year up till July 4th. So when I say, what have we done to keep July 4th safe? It wasn't last week. It was a year ago, starting March 18, 2024. So these are some of our efforts. I'm not going to read through them because I'm sure I'm short on time. These were our 3 goals for the 8-week surge that I put a bunch of officers out there on the street as often as we could. 0 tolerance on guns, gangs, and drugs, strict enforcement on quality of life crimes, and create an atmosphere where law-abiding citizens feel safe while boldly discouraging criminal behavior. Our efforts. So this is kind of how we classified when we should surge over those 8 weeks. The weather. Was it a special weekend? Was it a special day, a senior skip day? Was it a holiday? Specific intelligence that indicated on this night there would be a spontaneous event or a team takeover. We had intel analysts monitoring social media live those nights and before, and we would pick up on these things, and we were very successful with it. And every festival or special event would be staffed extra from March 8th. Now, when you put all that together, that's about every weekend, Friday through Sunday, for 8 weeks. Somebody get a skinny arm in there? All right. Okay, I'm going to keep on. So this is we kind of took a holistic approach. We didn't just put officers out there on the street. We did all of these things. We did active and passive intelligence. We looked at favorable weather. We looked at increasing our presence downtown, increasing visibility. We contacted our mutual aid partners, Neptune, Atlantic Beach, and JSO. And we put them on standby should something happen. So we kind of did all these things, so we weren't just putting officers out there. We took a systematic and holistic approach to our operations instead of just putting people on the street. Questions so far? Yes, ma'am. Okay, the results. Currently, as I stand here, I am fully staffed with 71 sworn officers, and I have a 5 officer waiting. Currently, I have a 5 officer waiting list. We're processing them as part-time officers. So when one retires or one leaves, we'll have someone immediately fill in. There's no downtime. Equipment and technology I requested, most of it has been attained. The technology piece, we're still working on that. We got a lot of good technology coming, and we're really, I think y'all are going to be amazed. I was amazed what's out there. It's only been a couple of months. We got some great technology coming. We backed up the tough talk. I've talked tough for 6 years or 20 years, however long we've been doing the surge. I finally had the numbers and the talent to follow through with it, to sustain the operation and put some teeth into it. Senior Skip Day. Senior Skip Day at Jacks Beach, anybody remember this year? About 300, 400 youth showed up. It was uneventful. We ended up running everybody out after a few fights. It took us about 3 hours. Into the parking lot, sneakers, and across the street, 2 rifle gang members, 2 rifle gangs, 2 AK-47s, 2 pistols, and a bunch of dope in the car sitting across from each other. There is no doubt in my mind that we stopped something bad from happening that day. Okay, Drunk Day 3 at the beach. Drunk Day 2 at the beach was March 17, 2024. That was St. Patrick's Day. We were able to warn the owners for state statute. We located and served them. If they carry through with the event, there could be civil and criminal penalties. We knocked on their door, said, if you go through with this, we're going to put you in jail. We were waiting as some of the promoters and some of the equipment people were coming out to the beach because we were monitoring some issues on social media. So when they pulled up with the speakers, we had 2 officers pull up and say, hit the road. So what turned into a horrible 3-shooting event on March 17th was a non-event for Drunk Day at the Beach number 3. There was no Drunk Day at the Beach number 3. HBCU weekend was advertised. It was an unpermitted event. Same thing went. We had nobody show. Not one person. So, as it stands today, we have had 0 critical incidents and 0 violent incidents in downtown Jacksonville Beach from January 1st through today currently. There have been none. There's been no tea takeovers. For some of you remember Jacksonville Beach, there used to be a couple, 2, 3 a year that we could get through. We did have a minor one with 150 or so show up. No violent incidents, a few fights, we ran them off the beach, but I did have a few business owners looking at me sideways. Like, how dare we let this get through? Out of 175 days, for 3 hours on one day, there was no intel, no nothing, and they showed up and we handled it with no violent incidents. So my point is, remember, this is tough to regulate, and you got to operate within the Constitution. But I'm very proud we had 0 to this day. We have clear protocols for these events now when they happen spontaneously or planned. And there's some of the stats we have for research. I'd like to thank these people. I'd like to thank the citizens and business owners for their support from March 18th through to today. They were wonderful. They showed up at council. They told our leaders what they wanted, and it was to leave the police department with more resources. Our elected officials and career leaders, fantastic. They stepped up and did things that I've never seen in any city ever. All of us together. Elected officials, union officials, the staff, the career staff, got us what we needed. And I've never experienced anything like that before. Neither have any union leaders. It just happened. It doesn't happen that way, but it happened here. So our elected leaders and career leaders should be proud. The men and women of the Jacksonville Beach Police Department, without their tireless work, none of this would have been possible. Chief Key, for always backing us up when I called down to him and screaming for help. Chief Gualillo, Assistant Chief Alicia from JSO, Lieutenant Valentine of JSO Gang, the CPR unit, the JSO Gang, and my son's unit, Jacksonville Sheriff's Office District 2 Task Force. So that's what I'd like to thank, because without all of us, this never would have happened. It's not a me thing, this is all of us thing. So thank you, and this is the not even signed the contract. The big payment piece for us is the highest paid. Here we have union leaders, here we have elected councilmen, and police representatives, and career service from the city of Jacksonville. We all got together and said, we need to do this. I'm extremely proud of this effort, and the union rep for the state said she'd never seen anything like that. Well, because I'd like to extremely thank you, Kevin.
just raising your hand, I'll call on you. Please speak loudly and clearly so the audience can hear you as well as the police officers. I'm going to ask them if you would stand up here. I'll give you this handheld mic to share. Please talk to the mic so that everyone can hear you.
Okay, first question. No question? Oh,
Jacksonville Beach, supposedly you have full staff now?
Have what, sir?
Full staff?
Full staff, 71 sworn.
Okay. In the traffic unit, how many people do you have working that?
I have 5, a sergeant, 4 officers.
Do they work a full shift or they work 8 to 5?
They work 10 hours, well, they kind of float depending on business and when it's busy, but they work generally 4 10-hour days, 40 hours a week, but they work overtime too.
Okay, so there used to be one individual that did all of that, and he had a schedule from 8 to 5, so if you didn't catch him from 8 to 5, you couldn't catch him at all.
Correct.
That is no longer the case.
Yep. My traffic unit worked like 8 weeks straight on every weekend. They didn't have weekend off for 8 weeks, and they work when peak times, they work all this past weekend. We put forth a max effort, Thursday night, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, including me, we all work all day, all night. So yes, we have all the traffic officers working all day, whatever is peak time.
Thank you.
Also, Jacksonville Beach, I just could not believe the 4th of July this year. I've lived here 12 years, no, 13, and every single year it would be like, okay, the fireworks are over now, the fireworks are in the sky. And it was so loud all night. And this year, it started, you know, the real loud ones after big fireworks is over, that are, it feels like it's in your house. And a police car came, put the lights on, almost right away, and it was silent all night.
Traditionally, July 4th has been our most challenging time. We had a max effort. All 75 officers working, not counting civilian employees. And literally, I was home by 11, and everybody said it was boring.
It was unbelievable.
Streets were clear by 11. This is on a Friday night. The comments I heard from my staff, this is so boring. Why are we here? Which, if you do it right, it should be boring. So thank you.
It was wonderful.
Thank you. Okay, let's move on from
I have a question myself about the e-bike ordinance. I think Atlantic Beach just recently passed one. I'm not sure if the other beaches, what their ordinance is. But can you just tell us a little bit about if they get warnings the first time, if they go the first offense, how is it handled? And are they allowed on the multi-use bike trails, or sidewalks?
So we've been giving warnings for about 2 years. Told the officers to go out and let everybody know, look, we expect you to act a certain way on the e-bikes, and if you're on the streets and you write a ticket, we have state statutes we can write up tickets for, not just the city ordinances. The city ordinances give us a little more leeway. So to answer your question, there is no age limit for e-bikes. The state just passed legislation that gave the ability to municipalities to create age limits, but I haven't seen all the context yet along the bill they passed. So that could be coming in the future. There's a 10-mile-an-hour speed limit in Atlantic Beach for sidewalks. So again, we recognize e-bikes are legitimate form of transportation. If you want to use transportation to be on the street, use the streets to travel up and down. If you want to be on the sidewalks, go slower so you don't scare anybody or anybody over if you're walking the dog. Beach is okay to be on an e-bike on the beach.
Just what is it?
Oh, the trails.
Trails, yeah, multi-use trail.
You can't have an e-bike on a multi-use trail or in a city park operated under power. Now, an e-bike has to have pedals that make the bike go as well as the electric engine. If you want to pedal it through the park, if you want to pedal it down a multi-use trail, you're fine, but you're going probably less than 10 miles an hour. So yes, you can be in a park or a trail on an e-bike if you're pedaling it, not even pushing the button to go fast. We try to balance that with the multi-use. We try to balance it with the transportation idea and as a recreation idea. So yes, you can use it, but once you use it reasonably.
Any other, want to talk about the e-bikes for Neptune Beach or West Beach? Or, no? Mayor Ford?
I have to give this one to Chief Key because he hasn't got the question yet.
Thank you, Mayor.
Okay.
Appreciate it, Mayor. Mayor, would you stick up for me?
No, go ahead.
So, Chief, and this is actually for all three of you on the e-bike thing. So, first part of the question is, have you collaborated, the three of you, to try to find commonality where we can apply the same laws in each of the beach cities? And if you haven't, will you start collaborating now, especially since the legislature has given us the right to regulate age?
Yeah, great question. I believe 2021 was the year Neptune Beach passed their e-bike ordinance for reckless operation, prohibiting reckless operation. We did just modify it under Mayor Byland's leadership to allow it on the beach, but not reckless, and that's the key word there. So, Mayor, to your point, and also to yours, I guess I'll answer. We're done with warnings. We're done. We're ready to start leaning hard into it. If you're going to operate an e-bike recklessly, you're going to get a ticket. And the ticket is the max. It's not much if you're very young. I can't quote you the amounts, but they're like very small, like $25 if you're 12 years old, recklessly riding an e-bike. But we all have beaches, communities that are way too tight. The lot coverages and the density, the density of all of our cities are way too tight. That to do a wheelie down First Street on your e-bike as you go around a mall pushing a stroller at 10 o'clock in the morning, we're done. We're done. You're getting a ticket. You're going to get cited for it. To the other point of the question is, I also, as Chief Gualillo said, I also saw that new legislation came out, have reviewed it, and I'm excited to introduce and to find sponsorships through our legislative body, the City Council, to have our ordinance amended, because I am very much so interested in some of the requirements that this new law allows us to do as municipalities. And then the last part, just to make sure I got it all, real proud of the two men on either side of me. We were able to collaborate maybe 2 months ago, something like that, where we had a collaborative effort for all police officers to muster. We briefed, and we talked about what we were doing for strict enforcement, targeted enforcement, and went out there and specifically looked for e-bike violations. I heard some I'll call it ridiculousness, because that's what it was. About, well, you're only going after the e-bikes. We're going after everybody who breaks the law. But we got to focus on one problem at a time. E-bikes are a problem. We're out there to focus on the e-bikes, but sure, if another violation happened in front of us, we're also going to address that.
I have a different set of problems in my city. We have been stopping bikes and deciding them. We did work together collaboratively a couple months ago. We plan on doing it again. With everybody, a lot of people are missing the point. What about the parents and the operator? That's where we're going. I can't be everybody's mom and daddy, and I can't run 80 miles an hour to get in front of an e-bike to stop them on the sidewalk. My 1 mile officer is going to kill somebody trying to do that. So along with the enforcement, it's the adults who operate and the parents who buy a 13-year-old kid a vehicle that will go 40 miles an hour and they're going down the sidewalk with no lights on and no helmet, and the parents know because they see them walk out and go to school in the morning. So a lot of this relies on the parents and compliance by the people operating these e-bikes along with our enforcement, because we're never going to write a ticket now. We're not going to write enough tickets to get ourselves out of this problem. That's just my feeling.
Lady behind you. Wait, I'm sorry, there's a lady behind you. Okay.
Hi. So my question is, utilizing, managing parking to deal with issues at the beach. Each of you mentioned the overwhelming percentages of arrests were from non-beach residents. I don't see it being as much of an issue in Neptune Beach, Atlantic Beach Town Center as we do in Jacks Beach. Can we utilize higher parking fees, enlarging the paid parking area and/or valet parking to address some of this? We've got people wanting to come to the beach, and I'm a 40-year beach resident, that want to visit Oku, wanting to visit these new places and spend money, that are being run off by the ones in the streets not spending money.
Absolutely, and our council already did that. We raised a paid parking rate. Tom, how much is it now?
It went up $4 and a higher holiday rate.
And we also expanded our the paid parking area down past Beach Boulevard. So it's great. I think it's helped. I think everybody would agree with that. But the other issue is, it's a numbers game too with us. If you have 30 million people a year visit your city, there's probably, that's what's traversed, that's what the estimate is. Either driving through or coming to your city. Or 10 million or whatever estimate you want to take, it's 0.5% of criminals. 0.5% of 8 million a lot of people. Lake City only has probably 25 or 50,000 visitors a year. 0.5% of criminals is the number of criminals. So it's not just parking. It's got to be a holistic approach, but that's one of the keys to it, is to limit parking and charge for it. Because the high price of free parking. And you're paying in other ways. You're paying in beach cleanup, you're paying in police services, fire services. So I encourage y'all to look at that, to expand your areas and raise your rates. Because I don't think any normal citizen would expect to go 50 yards from the beach, park for $5 all day. They're probably $20 in every other city in the country, and that's what our city council has raised us. It's been very good. And increased it here.
It is, but I don't think that it's being resolved. You know, Beach's residents that want to go down to the beach we offer valet parking in Beach's Town Center. You know, if you eat restaurant somewhere, you can get it checked and then there's no parking. 2 weeks ago down at the beach, my daughter and her friends probably spent a large amount of money at Oku. There were a large number of people all over the place. You had families staying at the hotels that were rushing their kids up into the hotels because it wasn't safe. There were a large number of kids being very disrespectful to police officers, climbing on cars, twerking on police officers. The police were being very restrained. But my daughter and her friends aren't going to go back down to the beach because of it not being safe. And it's a problem. And if we can continue to manage it's not Beach's people that are doing it. So it's still a problem, and we've got to get a hold of it to have people feel comfortable to be in that area.
I don't disagree with you, but I have something I have to work with. And that is the United States Constitution. If kids come or groups come to the beach and not doing anything illegal, I'm open for suggestions. We're not going to be able to legislate over this. Neither are any of these things. With curfews, parking, it is a problem, and it begins at home with the parents. We are regulating that problem, but I can't guarantee that we won't have another flash bomb in Jacksonville Beach. It's just we're in a county of 1 million people, and we're the playground for the county, all the beaches. So I'm open to suggestions. We've tried every way we can. I think we've been pretty effective. But nothing's going to stop a group of 100 teams coming out to being rude to the police and rude to people. I just can't stop people from bridge and talk about
Another question?
I think what I've noticed with the e-bikes is sometimes they want to act like they're a car. And then when they feel like it, they want to act like they're a bike again. And then they tell you, we don't have to stop for stop signs. But, if you're going down the middle of the road on their e-bike pretty fast, they need to stop for the stop signs. Or they're going to get hurt, I'm going to get hurt with. So we don't know the rules for e-bikes. We know the rules for other cars.
Same as any other vehicle.
Any other vehicle, not other bike. They tell me they're the same as other bikes, and that I don't know the bike rules. And I don't know the bike
Bikes have to stop.
Bikes?
Yeah.
They never stop.
They don't, but they're supposed to.
Bicycles do not stop for stop signs.
Mike, how many bicycles you have on First Street? 30,000?
31.
They weren't stopping for stop signs.
So, when I told my elected, I can go down to 25th Avenue South, stop 500 bikes and ride them ticket 10 hours a day. Then my traffic unit's tied up, and my gang unit's tied up, and all the extra people are tied up, riding down there for riding tickets for bicycles. And then who's going to answer the phone on Monday morning?
No,
People call and say,
where do we the people figure out the e-bike rules? That's all I want to know. Is there a site somewhere to look? What are the rules for that?
How about this? By the end of this week, you can go to the Neptune Police Department's website. We'll have e-bike rules on it. I don't know if there's an actual link on there right now, but ultimately it's real simple. E-bikes are considered bicycles. Now there's some exceptions to it, but if there is a bicycle rule, bicycles are allowed to operate on sidewalks, or bicycles are allowed to operate on roadways. There's rules that apply there, but ultimately an e-bike is considered a bicycle to some degree. There's some exceptions, but ultimately it's considered a bicycle still. And I know, to segue off, Chief, the police chiefs and police officers, we see problems, and it's our nature. We want to tackle those problems. We want to address them. But these problems you're talking about, they're legislative problems. They're not enforcement problems. And I understand we're the ones who can fix a lot of stuff, but this is not something we can fix because I believe, as Chief Gualillo said in his presentation, it's bigger than us. We'll do our best. It was already mentioned, it's hard to push, a 10,000-pound car down the road to chase a bicycle. We don't do that. We set up stop stations, all this other kind of stuff for strategic ways we enforce it. But to be able to actually curb it, to be able to curb it is possible. To be able to actually solve it is impossible. It's an impossible
I'm
task.
not saying I want the police to chase all the e-bikes. I'm just saying it can help define what the rule is, because when they tell me they don't have to stop because they're a bicycle. And I don't mind when bicycles don't stop.
I understand your concern, but I think they've already answered the question, so we need to move on. But thank you. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I just want to say that I was here last year, right after the state accident.
Would you mind standing and speaking a little louder, please?
I was here last year for my first meeting, and I just want to say that I have seen the improvement. I have seen the progress at the festivals, and I live in South Jacksonville, each regular day. I've seen officers on the corner 5 and 10 blocks away from the festivals, just looking for problems. And thank goodness I have seen a lot less problems. And I just want to say thank you, because whenever you said what you were going to do, and I just thought I read exactly what y'all did, I saw it the whole year. And I saw it 4th of July. Usually when I walk out of the beach at 10th Avenue South, it was like walking out of the Jaguar Stadium with a number of people. I was lucky that the crowds were gone in 15 minutes. I mean, I don't know if it's because of all the crazy parking and everything else they got in the construction, but I didn't see the backing crowds in this activity, and I really enjoyed it. And it's a whole lot more peaceful not to have a war zone. That's all I can
We are past our time, even though we got started late. But one last question, if any? Okay. Thank you all for your patience. Thank you for coming. And my last request is, for those who are physically able, if you could help us stack the chairs, we'll get out here even sooner. Thank you.